Welcome to the Dream Life is Real Life podcast with your host, Hannah Hermanson, bringing you real life stories of people who realized their dreams to educate and inspire you to create your legacy of abundance now.
We're back, and today we are with Amy Goldberg, aka AMYG, who is an international inspirational speaker, wellness professional, entrepreneur, and writer. Best described by those that know her as a trailblazer unleashed. She has done a lot of firsts in her 25 plus years. As both a collaborator and leader, she helped inspire lives through her work within women's groups, not-for-profit, corporate, healthcare, foundations, education, government, community, media, entertainment, and startups. Today, Amy's work shows people, groups, and audiences how to connect to their true potential so that they may lead inspired lives both personally and professionally. Amy changes thinking, inspires change, and moves people and teams into action where transformation can take place. Woo! Excited to have you, Amy.
I'm exhausted hearing that.
Hey, no, sometimes it's a good, you can lift your chest proud about, all that you're up to. And I'm excited to share a piece of your story because, man, just rattling through the places you've worked and been involved in, can you give us the journey from moving from not-for-profit to healthcare to all those things we just heard?
Thanks, Anna. I appreciate it. It's funny because I think, wherever you are in your journey, I think that I probably tapped into some aspect of the reality of the work. So, and I think I did that on purpose, unbeknownst to me at the time. But I think what it did, it gave me a better understanding of where I am right now and what all of that meant, because it is a journey. So, it's where did I start? I think there was conflict at the very beginning because I come from a family of very successful film and television in the entertainment business, and so it wasn't the drive; it was more of the taking note that everyone was doing, making films and getting very involved in that. So, what you see, you tend to do. So I was kind of guided by something that may not have been my spark, but I got into it very early on in my life. And so, but what I really was passionate was more of the wellness aspect of human behavior and what drove people to do the things that they do and did. And so I kind of took two streams in my life. I'm a writer producer, and then I was a wellness professional and spoke on and had a corporate wellness company for about 25 years. So I finally, after a million years, it feels like, merged the two. But it took a long time to sort of get there from not-for-profit, understanding corporate environment, understanding women's issues and challenges, and the government work that I did in education and so on. So all of that was an amazing learning to get back to myself to say, wait a minute, where do I fit into this whole equation?
Yeah, I can totally relate to that sort of okay, this is the path that's kind of been set forth for me. I see other people doing it. I guess that's what I also will go and do. But then having these other, whether it becomes a side hustle or a passion project or just an interest in things outside of that prescribed path. And so what do you think it was that helped you finally blend them and kind of bring together all of your passions into one direction?
I think what it was I was tired of repeating. I realized that everything was the shiny object. So when it sounded good, looked good, there was an initial financial gain, but it was for the short term because I wasn't happy. I finally realized that, okay, I'm either repeating or evolving. So I need to connect the dots in my pattern of life and see what was the thing, what was that one thing that when you play the game where somebody hides an object and the only clue they give you is you're getting warmer, or hotter, or colder. I kept leaning towards the colder. And then when I finally realized, wait a minute, I know exactly what I need to gravitate toward, I start listening to myself instead of the opinions of others.
Yeah, because we do know. I spent some time ignoring those nudges or that warm, cold feeling. And so we definitely know. And so often this comes up on the show a lot. It's like, slow down, quiet down, and just start observing those nudges or that sort of internal thermometer that you have. And another
So
thing,
true.
another thing I'm sort of gleaning from what you're talking about is this idea that we're on a journey, and to be more interested not in the paycheck or the get rich quick or the instant gratification, but to be on this journey of like, I can't remember exactly what word you use, but like, we're on an evolution. I think that is like the essence of an entrepreneurial spirit. Which is not that like we work for the paycheck or we work for Friday or we work for the project to be done, but we're just more interested in the journey. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think once you discover that, it's kind of that aha moment to say, okay, I took a deep breath, I paused, and I'm listening to what I need to do. Because money is a byproduct of of the joy that whatever it is that you're doing is the byproduct of that. And you're far more successful when you lead by your desire rather than, from a monetary standpoint.
Money is a byproduct. That is so huge. I love that. And so when I heard you speak, we were at a Fearless Women's Summit together, and I was just so jazzed by your energy on stage, and your talk centered around connecting the dots, which you're kind of speaking about right now. So what is the advice you would give to someone who's kind of listening and they're like, yeah, I'm not really like, listen, okay, warm, cold, like what are the basic steps or advice you'd give to people who want to connect the dots?
Yeah, thanks for that, Hannah. I think that you can't see the dots going forward in your life. The forward motion is, trust, karma, your journey, your experiences, faith, all of that. But going backwards, what you can do is you can start to see patterns of your life, whether when you were very young, there was something you gravitated toward, and maybe it wasn't something that you were necessarily that great at, but you stuck with it because you were interested enough to learn and gather more information. And so there's pattern of the things that you did that instinctively that you're jived by. It's something that excites you, gives you energy, because those are the things that, time goes by and you're not even thinking about it. It just doesn't feel like work, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So those are the dots, those are the warm elements of what you should do. And then what I encourage people to do is then take the next step and to write down. So in a book, and I ask if people could physically write this down, because you have a connection between your brain and physically writing something down where it becomes more memorable and something that you tend to action. And so within a column, write on one side energy and the other side depleted. And from the moment you wake up to the time you go to sleep, and try and do this for 2 weeks. I'd love to hear from people to see how they respond, is write down all the things like, okay, I woke up. Do I have energy or am I depleted? When I meet people or connect with people, do they energize me or deplete me? The work that I do, does it energize me or deplete me? Or what aspects of my work energize or deplete? My hobbies, same thing. Yeah, the food that you eat, energy or depletion. And what you do is at the end of 2 weeks, take a look and see where you are in your columns. If you have more in the energy area, fantastic. Now you have to dig deeper and start looking at, okay, well, what was it? Is it more of the hobbies? Is it more of is it my day to day? Is it, are there the friends that I have or the colleagues? And then so you've got to just see where that fits. If it's depleted, then you need to make a change. You need to decide, I'm going to get out of my own way. I'm going to face fear. I'm going to move through fear to get to the other side of what truly will bring me joy.
I love that, because it's so often difficult when people ask you like, well, what do you want? Or like, what do you like? or what do you don't like? Like, I think what you don't like is easier, but to have that in the moment, real time feedback of like, okay, just like look at what you have and gauge from there, because it is hard to be like, well, what if, a question I used to ask clients is like, well, if time or money were no object, what would you be doing? People are like, sleep, like, sometimes we can't even like, dream that big. And so these like incremental steps into more energy, into more joy, I think is an excellent exercise that I hope people take advantage of.
Good. Yeah, it's so true because, we always look to other people's energy to spark us. Mm-hmm. Isn't it funny? Like we don't look to ourselves. When we walk into a room, we feel the vibes of others rather than ourselves, to say, why don't we bring our own energy into something?
Definitely. Yeah. That's like one of my mentors, Jack Canfield, like the first success principle that he teaches is take 100% responsibility for everything in your life.
Exactly.
So a similar another exercise that I've done and is so powerful related to this is just act as if everything in your life is your own doing. So, if your partner is acting weird, ask yourself like, like what am I doing to make him act weird? Or if it's too cold out. Okay, well, what am I doing to make it cold? Like, how could I make it warmer?
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's that similar kind of like in real time. How can you take ownership and step into more energetic positivity or like responsibility for your life?
Yeah, it's so true. Well, you're a product of that, Hannah. You've created that for yourself. You've taken everything that you've learned and said, look, this is how I want to lead my life. And you're doing it. And you're, a happier, generous, energetic human being. And people gain from that.
Right.
So it's not selfish, because if you bring yourself joy, wow, look at the everyone around you is going to be happier.
Right. So true. So true. And just like as a caveat, let's remember that, AMYG is saying like, do this for 2 weeks. Like you've been on this journey for 25 years, and so keeping in mind that this is not like an overnight switch and, this like, just like be more energetic, think positive stuff. Like it really is about these like continuous exercises and just incremental gains. And so sometimes when people listen and they're like, okay, now my dream life is my real life overnight, it's like, it's a process.
Exactly. And actually you have to enjoy the process, because what happens is people get so disappointed. Like you have a goal and then you write down your goal and you think, okay, so you're so excited about achieving that goal that you absolutely are so miserable with the process. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to the goal, you think you're so let down. But if you like the process, like the baby steps, that every action that you take moves you towards something and you're enjoying most of it, you're not going to enjoy all of it. That's your wow factor, because you're moving towards a result that you're going to be happier with.
Yep. Enjoy the journey, people.
Exactly.
So I want to switch gears a little bit, speaking of the journey, and talk a bit about how you've gotten to where you are now with your business, because we talked about how diverse your background and your career has been, and you've been successful in a lot of arenas. And so going back to this question of like, how do multi-passionate people build a business around those energizing things that they're discovering? What are some of the things that really helped you get to where you are as a business owner and an entrepreneur?
Well, the first thing I did was I wanted to understand my style. I wanted to see the fit, because there's no such thing as balance. We got so hung up on work-life balance, and then it turned into a blend. And now it's actually moved fast forward into a fit. And the reason why, I know myself, I know that I'm miserable if I'm, in that so-called 9-to-5 arena where I'm sitting at a desk. Like for me, that's torture. I know I'm an energetic human being. I need to move. I need to connect with people, but I also need my quiet time. So that's why part of like the curated courses, the online, the more cerebral things that I'm creating are my time where I know I can accomplish these things under the same umbrella. So it's always one theme, and yet the delivery methods fit my style, where I need that combination of collaboration, being out there, being able to lend and share my thinking because of the experiences that I've had, and then be able to sit back and and then put it down on paper and be thoughtful around that. So it's really taking, like I know, for instance, I will hire out for more of the research and more of the documentation kind of thing, because it's not my thing. And so you have to identify what you also don't want to do, and it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to do that and just access other people's brain power and abilities, and help support them too in the interim from a financial standpoint, and do what you do best.
Yeah, keep people in their zone of genius. I truly believe that there is some sort of plan, there's some sort of orchestration in which there is a specific number of people who are meant to be bakers. Let them bake, quit burning yourself in the kitchen. There are people who are supposed to be designing and marketing and speaking. And for example, right now, I'm not really I'm supposed to be planning a wedding, and I'm so not into it. I actually get upset and I get really frustrated talking about anything wedding related. And so I was you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to empower another female entrepreneur who loves event planning and hire a wedding planner. And it has been just one of those, kind of obvious examples of stay in your zone of genius, because like you said, when you are on purpose, on fire, doing what you love, you allow all these other people to feel that energy and also empower them to do what they love. So I think that's a really important note that you're sharing.
Exactly. And, it's interesting you say that, because it also takes an understanding of who you are, because the ego, what happens is our ego gets in the way to think, no, I can do everything. And yet if you step back and say, wait a minute, no, I'm far better able to move 10 steps ahead if I focus on the things that I know I thrive at, I know I'm good at, and then get the support that I need from others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. So as you've really honed into your zone of genius, and it sounds like you kind of started with a mission, like you said, there's this common theme of whatever you put out there. So tell us a little bit about what you are putting out there. What is your work comprised of these days?
Oh, thanks. Well, my whole, my language is about sort of rocking your vibe and finding, tuning into who you are and, inspiring you to take action toward leading a rocking life. And the reason why I use language like that is because I want people to really tap into themselves rather than with others, looking around and seeing what other people are doing. Because I think what happens is we feel so diminished when we look out and see what other people are doing, and we sort of lose sight of who we are. And I mean, I'm not to say that looking at or identifying or copying the behaviors of successful people is a bad idea. I just think that we get lost in ourselves. So we need to step back and do our thing. And that's what I do. I guide people toward how to be their potential, not, this is what I do, or this is, it's more of who you are. And then how do you take who you are to be your true potential in whatever it is that you're doing? And so I can quickly identify what somebody's doing, where they are in their landscape of their life, and then just shift the thinking. So for instance, if somebody's a teacher and they are in a school environment, so more of an institutional environment, it doesn't serve them, but they like teaching. Okay, so let's look at that. Let's take a look and see what other opportunities that you can lend your expertise and maintain your teaching skills and teaching the joy of teaching. So there's so many aspects of what somebody does, and just switch it around to brainstorm other opportunities and then connect people with other people to make it happen.
Very cool. So, and you said you do this through online courses and speaking to groups. Is that right?
Exactly. So I'm on tour right now. I'm speaking at universities and colleges, corporations, high schools, conferences and events around how to be your potential. What does that look like? How does it start with you in a way that's you can master your abilities? So I'm really enjoying that aspect. And then I write some publications. And then I'm also doing online curated courses, which I'm just getting into, which I'm really enjoying.
Great. Great. Well, we are, you mentioned school teachers, and I feel a pop quiz coming on. Are you ready for it, Amy G?
I'm ready.
Just three last questions to kind of tie things together. And some of the things we might have already touched on, but I just want to make sure that we finish up with these last three questions. And the first one is, what is one thing that listeners can do today that will help them get closer to their dream life?
Take action. You have to, must go from deciding to doing. And the only way that will ever happen is to get out of your head and to move into action. Yeah. And no matter what that is, because if you're waiting to feel like it, you will never, ever feel like it if you're not inspired, ever. You just have to do it.
Right. Yeah. Motivation is such a hoax.
It so is.
Yeah.
So, it's funny you say that because I am actually, I was thinking about where I fit in the whole inspirational, motivational aspect of things. So after you go to the Tony Robbins-esque conferences, okay, and you're so enthusiastic and then, wait a couple of days and you're so depressed, that's where I come in. I help you take it to the next level to actually action what you need to do, because I think we get so excited and then it's like reality sets in.
Yeah, so true. A+. Question number 2 is, if you could give listeners a gift, like a tangible resource to help them on their path, what would you give them?
Well, for me personally, what I would do is I'd love to offer, if it's for me, I would love to offer a 30-minute inspirational coaching session for the first 10 people that email me or connect with me. I guess the best way is probably my website at AMYG.rocks, and just go to Let's Rock and message me, and we'll set up a time for a consultation.
Wow, that is a huge gift. I love it. And that kind of leads us into question number 3, which is, where can people get connected with you and learn more about what you do?
Oh, thank you. So Hannah, they can connect with me at AMYG.rocks. And that is actually, so the rocks is like a .com. I know people get confused with that. And and just message me there and I will help you.
Wow. Amy G, you are such a beam of light. I hope people are feeling all of the warmth that you exude. And I really appreciate you being here to share your story and help people live a rockin' life.
Thanks, Anna. I really appreciate it. And thanks, listeners, for taking the time to hear this, because I hope it helps, and we are here to help. So I really appreciate that.
Yes, amazing. Listeners, I'll be back next week with another inspiring guest that will help you make your dream life your real life.
You've been learning how to make your dream life your real life with Hannah Hermanson. To get the resources mentioned on today's show and to listen to past episodes, visit www.dreamlifeisreallife.com.